Hey, welcome to Bifocal. Hey, welcome to Bifocal. I thought it might be kind of interesting today. It's April 6th, and we're still in the middle of COVID-19. I thought it would be kind of interesting to talk about some of the things that we're experiencing, how much of this is going to be the new norm moving forward. There are a lot of things that businesses are experiencing right now that I think they're going to have to address when we begin to get out of this situation that we're in right now. You know, I talk to a lot of businesses, and probably one of the biggest things, not the biggest, but one of the biggest things I think companies are dealing with right now is this whole remote workforce from home. And you have companies out there that this was not part of their plan, and probably they were not ready and set up to do all of that. But now they have their entire workforce working from home, or a big part of their workforce working from home. And what's going to happen when the government begins to release things and open things back up, and companies want to bring that workforce back into the office? How is the workforce going to respond to that? You know, I know prior to that, we would get a lot of applicants, and they were looking for work from home. And it wasn't something that, our company offered at the time. But I think moving forward, that may be the norm. Everybody will have tasted it by this time. Everybody will have experienced work from home. And I think you're going to have a lot of people that are going to say, hey, the next job I get has to be work from home. Many people will have places set up in their homes now. They've been designated places. They've made them a little bit more comfortable as time went on, made it more of an office setting, a little bit more conducive to being there 8-9 hours a day. And I don't know how apt the majority of people are going to be wanting to come back to work. Now, I do know that there will still be probably a lot of employees that say, hey, I want to come back into the office. I miss getting up, going into work. I miss being around people every day. I miss the camaraderie. I miss my friends. I like getting out of the house. I don't have dedicated space in my house, so freeing this up to me go back into the office, that will be good. So yeah, you're going to have those types of people. But I guess the question that I want to talk about today is, or at least one of the questions I want to talk about today is, how about that body of employees that say, nope, I'm not going back in the office. And if that's my only option, I think I'm going to maybe find another job that has work from home. How many employers moving forward now will be offering that they didn't offer that before? That's going to get pretty interesting. You know, and I'll throw this out too. How much of our structure inside our businesses are going to change? You know, technology went from here to here in just a couple of weeks. You know, a lot of people are using Zoom as their video conferencing and that type of thing, you know, both from a personal level all the way up to businesses. And I read the other day that Zoom has had like and don't quote me on this, but I want to say it was like 500,000 more people hit their site signing up for their service. And that number may not be totally accurate, but it's something like that. It was a lot of people. What are companies going to do once they bring people back and they get back to normal? Are we going to be sending sales reps around the country? Are we going to be doing as much flying as we did in the past? this video conferencing is becoming the new norm. That definitely is becoming the new norm. Sure is a lot cheaper than flying. How is that going to change? So now we have this work from home, and how much of our workforce is going to want to come back into the office? And if they do, is it temporary until they find a place that they can work from home? How much of our travel is going to get diminished? And that's neither good or bad. It's just a change. How much of that is going to change? You take for a lot of companies, travel is probably a big expense. It's a big line item every month. Well, now that we don't have that and we're beginning to see that, hey, I can conduct a lot of business over video conferencing. And there's probably a lot of people out there that would prefer that, both from a customer standpoint and from the vendor standpoint. So I think there's going to be a lot of things that we have to address as we move forward. Another thing I think companies are going to have to begin to look at, and I think right now they have to look at that, they can't wait until all of a sudden things open up. I think one of the things we have to begin looking at right now is, what is my strategy moving forward? What is my structure moving forward? Am I just waiting for this COVID-19 to die down, and when it does, I'm getting back to business as normal, and I can't wait to do that? And for some, that just might be what you're looking for. I'm getting back to normal. Normal was good. How about companies right now that they're experiencing a new normal? They're experiencing things that they didn't experience before. The whole work from home thing, as we talked about, technology. Is that going to cause companies to reevaluate their structure moving forward? And by structure, it could be everything from, do I need as much office space? Man, what are the landlords going to do when their phones start ringing and the tenants are saying, hey, Mr. Landlord, we got to talk about this lease. I just don't need this space anymore. And I know there's contracts, and I get all that. But the reality of it is some of that is going to happen. I talked to a landlord the other day, and he is already getting calls from tenants saying, hey, I got to talk to you about some options here because I just don't need this space moving forward. You're going to have companies that, one, they just don't simply need as much space because they've downsized and they know it's going to take a while to get back. That will be part of it. You're going to have other companies that through this, they're just totally restructuring. And as a result of this restructuring, they're sitting back and saying, I just don't need the space. I'm going to have 80% of my workforce work from home moving forward. I'm going to have 50% of my workforce working from home moving forward. I don't need this space. I've been talking to HR managers. And keep in mind, the things that I'm sharing, this isn't global, but it's things I'm hearing. So I have to believe if I've heard them, they're widely spread somewhere, right? It's maybe not the fact for everybody, but I've heard HR managers saying, now that I have my workforce from home, I'm not experiencing as many HR issues. I have some production people are saying, hey, production's up. On the other hand, I've heard other companies say, man, productivity is just bad. It's just down. And I'm sure a lot of that depends on the nature of the business and how companies are able to manage that and monitor that and all of those types of things. But I think what we're experiencing now is some challenges on social behaviors, economic behaviors, workforce behaviors, technology behaviors, and all of these things are going to have companies take a look at what are they going to be like when we get back to normal, and what is normal. I think that's going to be interesting. I think right now companies need to be looking at tomorrow. And let me define what I mean by that. Right now, and I know this firsthand, and I know it from many other companies firsthand. Much of what we're doing, it's day by day. I mean, things just change daily. You have a customer leave, you have 5 customers leave, you had 3 customers leave. All of the sales aren't coming in as fast as they were. So a lot of what companies are doing, it's very, very reactive. It's what's happening today. What do I need to do to keep my cost in line? I got to keep the company afloat. I don't want to incur a bunch of debt. It's very reactive to what companies are doing today, and I'm not sure there's any other way around that. But this won't last forever. What are we doing today to be ready for tomorrow? Are we even evaluating what tomorrow is going to look like for us? Are companies doing that? Are you doing that right now? Are you having meetings that are not just pro or reactive to what happened today or yesterday, but are you also having those meetings about, hey, where are we going tomorrow? What about your marketing plan? What about your sales strategy? What about your digital strategy? What about your technology? Has this, what we've just gone through with COVID-19, has it elevated some of the shortcomings in your company? Has it elevated some of the areas that need to be addressed? Do you have the technology? Were you quickly able to see where you're lacking? And did you have to scurry to try to get there as fast as you could? Where are we going to go with that moving forward? Do we just want to get back to normal? You know, right now, normal probably wouldn't be bad for a lot of companies. A lot of companies would probably take normal 4 weeks ago versus what they got today, and I'm probably one of those. But that's not our option. And I don't think that will be our option, to just take normal. Companies have lost a lot of business. I talked to some staffing agencies. What's going to happen in that industry when all of a sudden the economy opens up? There's going to be a lot of people available in the market. Are companies going to want to hire right away? Are companies going to be a little bit squeamish, a little bit gun shy? Are they going to come back very slow? You know, you're watching some of these other countries right now who has had started to open things up, and then all of a sudden they had to tighten it back down because they opened it up too quick. When we get that green light to move forward, what is that going to mean for companies? Is everyone just moving forward at 100 miles an hour? Or are we moving forward very cautiously and very strategic? Are we going to hire as fast as we can? Are we going to bring back, when I say we, I'm talking plural for all companies. Are we going to bring back everybody as fast as we can? How quick will we be able to replace the business that we've lost? You know, there's companies out there that they've lost 25%. They've lost 50% of their business. They've lost 80% of their business. And some companies that all revenue is just totally shut down. When that green light opens up, is all that revenue just returned day one? What have we learned, or what do we want to change so when that revenue starts to come back, are we going to accept it, and are we going to take it the same way we did, or are we going to accept it and receive it and manage it differently moving forward? This is a time, I think, businesses, and I'm talking mainly small to mid-sized business because that's where I fall. This is a time for us to strategically look at where we want to go moving forward. This is a time to capitalize on some things that maybe we wouldn't have been able to do before. This is a time to take advantage of some slow times to reassess where we want to go moving forward. I truly believe when we get that green light that things begin to open up, the companies that are taking advantage of this time now, of reassessing where they are and where they want to go and how they're going to get there, those companies are going to be a lot more nimble and flexible to move forward. I wonder how many companies are doing that and how many companies are they're just waiting for it to open back up. And I know there's a million different cases and scenarios that dictate that, and I understand that. But I think this is a time we really want to evaluate as much as we can. When we move forward, I think companies need to reevaluate and make sure they're as lean, as solid, technology-wise, marketing-wise, personnel-wise. This is the time to make sure as I move forward, I want to be as solid on every front of the organization. And that includes personnel, that includes technology, that includes my strategy, that includes my approach, my marketing, my online presence, my website, everything, HR policies and practices, pay plans, compensation packages. When we get back to whatever normal is, I don't believe it's just going to be the way it was. There will be some changes, and I think we have to make sure our company is ready for that change. Once again, I think some of the biggest changes are going to be this remote workforce. And if you get through this and you say, I'm not having a remote workforce, everybody is coming back into the office. And there will be a lot of companies that do that. And rightly so, because that's what they need. How much more difficult is it going to be for them to hire people? Are you going to be able to find as many as good of people that you did in the past? Because while you're doing it that way, you have the other companies that are probably going the complete opposite. They've experienced the workforce from home. Their technology is sound. Their productivity was up. They're adopting a new way that they're going to run their business as a work from home. We're going to see the market, and that's going to be going on, and that's going to change everything just from a personnel side. And let's face it, personnel, people, that's what makes up businesses. Is your marketing approach going to be identical? Are you moving forward with the exact same people you had? And I know that that's tough to say right now, but it's real. What's your strategy moving forward? As you move forward, are you interested in just getting revenue, or are you interested in getting good revenue? If so, does your marketing strategy, does your sales strategy, does your approach, your messaging, does your web presence, your digital marketing, does all of that support the type of business you want moving forward? How about you're in a situation where you say, as soon as these green lights go green, I gotta go. I gotta get revenue back as fast as I can. Are you set up for that? Well, today you're probably not. Who is? But are you putting a plan in place right now so when the light turns green, you know what you're doing? What is your approach? Are you hiring as fast as you can to get those people in? Are you outsourcing certain things? What is your approach and strategy to accommodate that market need you have? I think those are big questions that we as small businesses and medium-sized, we got to ask those questions right now. We need to be having those discussions now. If not, we're not going to be ready. And you know what happens when you're not ready. you just start making decisions. And I don't think coming off of what we're going to come off of, COVID-19, I don't think companies can afford to make bad decisions. I think these decisions we make moving forward, they're going to need to be thought out. They're going to need to be planned. They're going to need to be based on something that we know this is going to work. That is what I think we're faced with right now. There's new norms. There are new norms. So I guess like maybe a couple things I would leave you with today. Where are you at with the work from home? Have you made that decision? Is it too early to make that decision? I think for companies right now that are saying, man, this has been great, are you in a honeymoon phase with work from home? Is everybody still just enjoying it so they're working real hard at it? Have we experienced enough time to make that decision? That needs to be a top priority. We need to be evaluating work from home, and I would suggest right now you gather as much data as you can on every metric that you can to evaluate that. That is a big decision. Is my company going to be a work from home, or is it going to be an on-premise in an office? Because the workforce is going to be 50-50, 60-40. I don't know exactly what it'll be, but there's going to be a big workforce now that's work from home. And everybody will have tasted it, as we talked about. We have to address that. So one, you need to address your work from home. What is it? What is it going to be? And what data and how much data do I need to even make that decision? Secondly, what's my marketing plan moving forward? When the green lights hit, as we talked about, what's my strategy? Everybody's going to want revenue. That's a given. Everyone's going to want new customers. Everyone's going to want their old customers back. What's your strategy to make that happen? Is your strategy, I'm just going to call them and hope it works? How many of your customers are going to be sitting back and saying, hey, now's the time we may as well test the market? Rather than going back to ABC company, let's just see what's out there. There may be companies out there getting aggressive right now. So are your customers going to test the market? Are you prepared for that? Are you having conversations with them now? What is your go-to-market strategy? I have a hard time believing that if your go-to-market strategy is identical to what it was before, that's going to be successful. Something has to give, something has to change. We're going to want revenue fast, and we're going to want the right revenue. Are you set up to do that? How much of your approach is going to require sales reps on the phone? How much of your approach is going to require digital marketing, online marketing, social media marketing? How much are you going to be able to drive in through your website? How much of an inbound technical staff are you going to need? Inbound telephone support staff? Are you anticipating when the green lights happen that all of a sudden your phones are going to start ringing? For many, that will happen. Are we set up to accommodate that? So number two is your marketing plan, is it ready? Is it going to be ready? Fortunately, we probably still have a little bit of time to make those decisions. I think thirdly, an area that we have to address is technology. I would say most companies have had a very good opportunity to test their technology or lack thereof. Where were you vulnerable? What do you need to shore up moving forward? Phones, reporting, CRM for your sales reps. What are those areas you have to shore up? And how are you going to do that? Technology's tough. When you get into technology, and I've been into technology for a long time. I started my career in technology. There are so many platforms out there right now. There are so many options out there. Whatever it is you're looking for, there's 1,000,001 options. What are you doing right now that when you need to make that decision, you know the option you're moving has been tried, tested, and it suits your needs? Very expensive to implement the wrong technology. Very expensive. Whatever amount of time you can spend up front planning for that, the better off you will be. So this is a time we got to evaluate our workforce, our work from home. Are we working in the office? We got to evaluate our marketing strategy, our sales strategy, our in-house support strategy, our web strategy. And lastly, we got to monitor and think about our technology. Where are we at? I think now's the time we want to be doing that. I don't know if we just go back to normal. Everything's changing. Not only is it changing for you, but it's changing for your customers. They're learning to adapt differently. Just because they are learning to adapt differently, is that going to force us as vendors, as suppliers? Is that going to force us to respond differently? Have we given thought to how our customers may be different now and how I'm going to suit them now? Well, I wanted to talk about this a little bit today. I find it extremely fascinating. And I think we got to be careful that we just don't get caught up in the doom and gloom, because there's plenty of that to go around. I mean, trust me, we are monitoring things every day. And tomorrow may be totally different than today. And I get that. We've already experienced that. And you have too. But this will not stay like this forever. Are you going to be ready when the green light turns green? I want to be ready. I want to start having those conversations. We are having those conversations. If you haven't started addressing some of that, I encourage you to start addressing that as quick as you can. That's what's going to put you ahead of your competition if you can address the things that I just talked about. Hey, thanks for coming in today, and thanks for listening to this. And this has been trying times, been very trying times. And hey, we got to be proactive. We got to be looking forward, not behind us. We got to be looking forward. What are those things we want to change? What are those things that worked well, and what's things I need to change today? Hey, thanks for stepping in. Talk to you later.